What are you working on, Baba?
This is the seat back that you'll see when we bolt them to the uprights. And of course, this is another piece of white oak, so it won't rot. And I don't know where you can see, but let me get a thing to show you. In the furniture industry, this is a distressor. It's just a piece of wire with some nuts on it, and you hit the board like that to make little dents in it. So when it dries, you see these little dark specks right there? That'll show up that it's been distressed, meaning been used. Because when we're going to let it dry for a day, then we'll wipe it off. Well, that won't wipe off as much. So, but that's what's called a distressor. Use them in the furniture industry back when we made furniture. And of course, this is the oil out of the engine.
So this is out of the hole.
This is out of the hole. This is the engine oil that came out of the hole. See how dark and, quote, nasty some people would call it? Mm-hmm. But it makes a great finish to put on.
Especially if you're trying to mimic old wood, right?
Yeah, we're trying to mimic old wood. So this is old wood. This is old wood. That's out of a tree that's bound to be 100 years old. So
why didn't you decide to just use normal stain, like a dark stain?
Well, because back in they didn't have modern like polyurethane or anything like that then. So they would just, maybe even, this could have been originally painted. We don't really know for sure. But this gives it that old distressed look. You can see the other pieces that I did yesterday, how they're looking at the oil soaks into the wood and gives it a nice look. Up here is the box that sits on. And of course, the oil tank that oils the tracks goes right here in this. That's one of the big holes there. It sets down in there, and there's two straps. These right here go in to hold it down. There, we've already made the holes for it to go in there. But these two straps that holds the tank down. So this is the divider, like the original. This is the wood that'll show. Now these two pieces, what go on each side of it, and the reason they're off, in order to put that tank in, we got to get in here to these bolts. With the side on it, you can't get in there because the tank's in the way. So there's three of these uprights that get bolted right here, and then this is going to be the support for the upright. It will screw right there in the same bolt that goes through that. And of course, like I said, there's three of these uprights. And of course, they're right hand and left hand, so the supports are right hand and left hand, if you can see how they're bent.
Mm-hmm. So y'all made both of these pieces, right?
Yeah, we made this. Well, of course, we made everything because the seat was just totally rotten. We only had one kind of board that was, you'd almost call salvageable, but it wasn't. Mm-hmm. And so again, I think I showed you that picture before of how later on they upgrade the seat. Mm-hmm. So we took the, not poetic license, but the license to make it where it would hold up for another 100 years. Mm-hmm. Because without these supports, this piece could bend, because it's only a quarter of an inch thick. So if a 200-pound man leans back on it, it'll bend it, and of course it won't spring back. This is the seat frame that I made. I used half-lap construction here. You can see this piece goes in here, and this is totally strong, and this will get totally upholstered and then fit right in here. So that'll be what actually is upholstered.
Okay, so the fabric for the seat and the whatever is inside the seat goes in on that.
Goes on this, and then because we got to be able to take it out, because we have to get into that tank, and then the other side is basically a tool storage. Mm-hmm. So you got to be able to get to it. So this will come out.
So this won't ever be screwed in.
No, this won't be screwed in.
Won't it just be able to slide right out?
No. We're going to have. You can see a belt right there. See the belt going across that seat? Mm-hmm. So actually the belts hold the seat in.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be putting those belts on there. So that will hold the seat on.
And that'll keep that this piece from sliding in and out.
Yeah, that'll keep that from sliding in and out. So that's pretty much the status now. We're waiting on this to dry, and then we'll start building back. I haven't bored the holes in the back yet because we have to put it together and put the 3 uprights and tie all that together, then bolt the piece in.
Yeah.
So we're getting close.
So now these pieces y'all made, they look awful rusty.
Well,
Tell us about that.
Well, it was a combination of some hydrogen peroxide and some white vinegar, white distilled vinegar. So you mix that together and spray it on steel, and it will rust it.
So when did y'all spray it on this piece?
Yesterday.
So within 24 hours, it'll go from clean metal to this.
Yeah.
Wow. It's pretty fast acting.
Yeah, that's fast acting. But the bolts that you're going to see that actually hold these uprights on, which will go through the seat and will go down here, come through. You're going to see this side on. For some reason, it's not wanting to react, so I don't know.
It's got some kind of coating on it.
It must. Well, now first I took it to the sander and sanded a brand new one because it's
this is a new one.
Yeah, that's a brand new, and then that is zinc plating, I think, and it's got some numbers on it.
Yeah.
So I went and sanded that off again to replicate old ones, and then I sandblasted the end to try to take some coating off. But for some reason, it's not yet reacting. I don't know. I mean, one alternative would be to dip these in salt water and put them outside for a week. They probably would rust. But we're trying to accelerate. See the bolts that go on here, the square head bolts. See they again
rusted up pretty well.
They rusted up pretty well. Now those I sandblasted. These we're doing, and we just put it in here, and well, it's showing some rust, but not quite the same way that these did overnight. So anyway, that's where we are. Originally, we think the seat set directly down on these crossbars, these angle iron crossbars. But remember, in 1918, people were considerably smaller. You at 6'3" would be considered a giant. The average guy was only like 5'8". So, we're going to do on here like we did on the 60. We're going to put some riser box that will raise it up and be able to slide it back. We're thinking now, without having put the seat on there, we're going to slide it all the way back against this piece.
What is that piece?
Like some type of carrier or something. It doesn't show up in the other picture, but it's original because it's riveted together. So that makes us think it's original to this tractor. But see, one approach, if we determine that height there is not enough, is to do this and slide this seat back to where we still can get this off. In other words, in essence, we would move this out here. Just make that high enough to just clear that so that the seat box could set back to here, by doing this right here.
So the seat is going to rest on these.
Yeah, the seat's going to set on these,
4x6s.
and it will be screwed down to those. These will be bolted to here, and then the seat will be put to there. And like I said, once we get the seat made and set it up there, then we'll make the final determination here. But anyway, so that's pretty much the extent of where we are now. Is we're waiting on our finish to dry some, and then assemble it and get the upholstery, and then set it up here and make the final determination of where it goes. I mean, we know it goes between here, but we have to find out. So that's where we are.
Well, let's go check out what Dad's been doing.
Okay.
Hey, Dad, what have you been working on?
Well, working on the carburetor and the air cleaner transition. So this is the original air cleaner. It's a Donaldson, and you saw some video of us working on that, getting it where you can take this off and clean the debris out. Well, it would go into here, and air travels around the exhaust pipe, but not in the pipe, just around it, and it comes back. This is original, and it comes down to here, and there would have been an elbow that went to the original carburetor. Well, since we didn't have the original carburetor, this is the closest one I had. It's a 2-inch diameter, roughly, Zenith carburetor. So this is the intake, in essence, for the carburetor, and you want it to go through the air cleaner. So we've got to connect this pipe to the actual carburetor. So I was trying to figure out what to do, and I had some more flex, and I was going to make a flex elbow and all this, and so I decided, hey, let me do some digging in my inventory and see what I can come up with. So what I came up with was a standard thread pipe, black pipe, street L they call it. Well, not really a street L, it's a close 90. This was 3-inch pipe, and this was 2-inch pipe. So I needed 3 1/16 roughly. So I machined the threads out, and then I had a piece of pipe laying around that I machined to receive the end of this. So this slips on, and this clips on right here, and then we've got a lock screw on the back that'll hold it in place. So
pretty impressive. How long did it take you to make that?
it was about 2 hours.
Applause.
So it's not a factory by any means, but it'll serve its purpose.
It looks great.
It does. What'd you use to machine the threads out of the middle? Like you used the
I put it in the mill.
You did.
Yeah, you can't hold that. Well, you could hold that in a 4-jaw chuck on a lathe, but it was too difficult to get centered, so I just abandoned that and went to the mill and clamped it down and milled it out.
Gotcha.
Cool. Anyway, that gets us up to there, and then to come back here.
It looks so good.
It does.
I don't know if you've noticed, when we got the tractor, but this was on here. And I didn't know exactly what that was for. It's kind of unique shape, and it was mounted on here, so there was something obviously on this part.
Looks like it might be a water bottle.
Water bottle, some kind of jug or something. So I did a little research and pause.
Yes,
Resume. I found what that piece is. If you look there, that's matching. This piece is slightly different. But what it is a kerosene lamp.
Oh, no way.
So that's your tail light.
There's your kerosene tail light.
That's pretty cool.
So, the little jar in here. There's the wick. Your fluids down here, and you adjust the height through the wick up and down there. But
where'd you find your replacement part?
At the Holt store.
At the Holt store, www.ebay.com. But a nice man up in Massachusetts sold this to me, and anyway, you can find them all over the internet. But we'll age this up a little bit. But that's a new old stock 1918 lantern. So that's what goes there. So inside the fuel tank, if you want to look in there, we'll get you in there. You can see on the left hand outside of your screen there's a hole, and that's the fuel pickup hole that goes into our fuel line out here on the out, and then goes to the back tank and makes its way eventually to the carburetor. So what I wanted to do was create a fuel strainer for that hole. So I originally was just going to make a comb out of some woven wire, basically screen, solder it, and just jam it down in the hole. Well, then I decided, well, I didn't quite like that idea, so I turned a piece of pipe down to where it'll fit into that hole I just showed you, and I drilled a bunch of holes in it, almost like a silencer on a gun. And then I took the screen, wrapped it around it, and then soldered it in place.
This is a filter.
This is our fuel screen. So this will catch if there's still contaminants in the tank as it's sloshing around and we're moving. This will allow fuel to go through the holes in the screen to stop the debris from getting in the fuel system. I put a bunch of holes, so in essence, if it was really contaminated, the debris would just keep building up, and you could still get fuel in. It'll never contaminate that. But if some of the holes got stopped up for whatever reason, you got about another 60 holes in there to fill up. So my soldering iron wasn't working too good, and I was a little frustrated about it, and it was electric, and I was like, Daddy was helping me, and this is not working. It's just not getting hot enough. Like, wait a minute, what they do in the old days? In the old days, they had a blowtorch that blew out and heated a piece of metal, an iron.
Call it iron.
An iron, and they would heat the iron and lay the iron down and then do it. So we grabbed a piece of steel up, heated it up with a torch, and it doesn't look the prettiest, but
that's not a weld.
It's
it's
a solder.
Okay.
It's authentic.
So they would have soldered that in originally, but it looks bad because we kind of had to figure it out as we went because my soldering iron wasn't working.
You'll never see it now.
But I'll never see it. But we'll get some. Who's got the smallest arm? Silas, I
Might
believe
be
you
me,
do.
yeah.
You get to reach down through that hole and drop that in that hole.
Oh boy.
So you can jump up there and see it.
Okay.
Is it in?
Yeah, it's in.
Is it loose? Because I couldn't get my hand down in there.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
Huh?
There it is,
Can
right
you
there.
wiggle it?
Let's see here.
You don't want to wiggle it.
Yeah, it's loose.
Is it?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. How loose? Okay. Well, take it out. Turn it around. Turn it upside down. Will that go down in the hole?
Let's see.
You
I
should have
doubt
been
it.
here yesterday.
Yeah. Well, sorry. No.
It won't. Okay.
No.
All right.
So it's between. So
Between
maybe,
the two.
Maybe you can tack on a little bit and then grind it down and just add on some surface area.
Okay. Well, we'll bring you back.
Make a center punch and punch around it.
Yeah, that's what we'll do first.
That'd be a good idea. And then you can take a hammer and tap it down in the hole.
But
Well, you can.
Oh, well, I can't. Yeah.
take a hammer in your hand.
And my hand. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We'll come back to that. Other things I've been working on.
So you've been working on that.
Patience.
You found the backlight.
Backlight.
You worked on the carburetor.
Worked on the seat, and then we're working on this over here. So the other thing we've been working on was the track tensioner on this side. I didn't notice it at first, but someone had jammed a piece of steel in here.
That's a pipe. Right?
Yeah, and then one on the other side. I was like, well, the only reason they did that was to tighten the track up. Well, that's the incorrect way to tighten the track. So the correct way is through these two nuts right here. This is your jam nut, and this is the tension nut. So you would turn this until this shoulder touches this casting, and that would push this shaft on this yoke assembly, pushing the idler away from the drive sprocket to tension the track. So the other side doesn't have this gap here because they tensioned it the right way. Well, obviously they couldn't get that to move whenever they put this steel in here, and so I'm trying to get it to move. I got the jam nut to move, but I hadn't been able to get the primary tension nut to move. And I've been heating it and soaking it and heating it and soaking it, and vicious cycle. So if I can't get it to move, the idea I had is I'm going to make basically a split washer that will go take up the difference right here. So it'll be resting on that nut again, so we can eliminate this, because it's really putting undue pressure on this frame and this piece.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's where I'm at on that. But that's I've been cooking that for on and off for a couple of days, and I'm not getting much anywhere. So there's no lubrication point for that nut to turn on the shaft. You know, there's no way to get grease in there.
It doesn't look like it should turn because there's no threads right here.
Well, no, that's the outside. You can see the threads right here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
See the threads?
Yeah, with the red.
All right, that's the threaded rod basically all the way back. This is your jam nut.
Yep.
And this would turn. This has got like a barrel on it
Okay.
that goes inside this cast piece.
Okay.
So that's kind of a guide, a bushing, whatever you want to call it. So you have to tension that up to send the idler away from the drive sprocket to tension the shaft or track.
Okay.
Not that we'll have to do that on a regular basis or anything. I was just trying to fix somebody's field repair here, so I'm not having much luck on that. So it's pretty clean in there. There is an unusual kind of design of the oil pan. You can see the two galleys on either side, and then that hole in the middle. That's a channel that runs to each piston cylinder, basically cavity. And what I can guess is when the tractor's on an incline, or various terrain that it allows the oil to flow freely from front to back, but not too freely where the front half would run out of oil. But anyway, let me show you the bottom of the oil pan. But here's the bottom of the engine. If you're curious, this is the oil pump here with a brass or bronze screen for the pickup. There's a cast iron frame that goes under here. There's a plug to drain this cavity. This is that cavity that we saw up there with holes in each cylinder area, and it comes out and then has oil up to the front. Main bearing, I guess, on the crank would be up under here. But we're just getting that all cleaning the sludge out. And this bottom pan that we did remove, there was quite a bit of sludge in that, but that's the lowest point on the engine. So that's understandable. So don't know the mechanical history of this particular tractor, but I can imagine, being a 1918 vintage, that it probably didn't get oil changed, it just got replenished. I'll show you some more things here in just a second. But we did get the oil pan put back on. I had taken this oil pan off in my previous clips, cleaned the sludge out and everything, put the drains back. We got the crankcase pretty much clean. I need to wipe it out one more time to get when I'm happy with that. Then we'll go ahead and put the side covers on. I did get the magneto mounted, got it timed, got the advanced retard lever connected, made new plug wires.
So tell us a little bit about this. This piece wasn't original, was it?
Yeah, that's original.
Okay, I don't remember seeing it.
The end of this was broken off.
So
so I made this piece.
The end is you made, but the rest of it is all original.
From here down is original.
Okay.
And it would have looked just like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this goes to the lever on the left-hand side, and that is the advance and retard of the spark.
Okay.
Basically, it changes slightly ahead or behind of the spark. So you advance it just a little bit to crank it, and then when it's running, you can lean it back a little bit. It's just like a distributor in your car where you can rotate it to change the timing just a little. That's basically what that does. Mm-hmm. But what you want to do is when you time your magneto, you want to make sure that this is the number one piston, is top dead center, and you want it to fire just as when the piston's starting to drop. Mm-hmm. You don't want to fire when the piston is at top dead, because it'd be fighting itself. Mm-hmm. If the piston's all the way up and it fires, the piston has nowhere to go if it's directly straight up and down. Mm-hmm. You got the momentum of the crank. So as the piston just barely starts to come down, you want it to fire, because then it'll push the piston down a lot better.
And how do you adjust that?
Well, you've got this plate here. There's marks on the flywheel. Right here, I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but top dead center, 1 and 4. So when you can see that it's not top dead center right now because it's sitting all the way up. But we can back the engine up and you can see that. See, that's top dead center there. And that mark on the flywheel and this indicator will show you that. That's slightly off, but you get the idea. Mm-hmm. So if it fired right now, that wouldn't be good because
it's firing directly down on the cam.
Yeah, so you want it slightly over like that. Mm-hmm. So when it fires, it goes ahead and pushes that piston down. It's like 10, 15, or 20 degree, I forget, off top dead center. So you don't want it to fire right then. You want it to fire just as it's like 10 degrees off.
Okay.
And so you adjust that through this plate right here.
Okay.
You've got all different holes, 2 bolts that lock it down. So you would pull this cap off, and you could see the rotor button on a new distributor. The rotor button is pointing down to where number 1 cylinder fires. So you want it to snap a few degrees past top dead center, and so we got that calibrated. But
and then the spark plug wires, are the actual wire new?
Yeah, these are all new wires of a company in Virginia that Brillman's company in Virginia. They sell all different kinds of antique wire. So it's basically new wire with a cloth exterior, just like original.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to solder the ends on, and it doesn't look very good because my soldering gun, I need a new one, but I may redo that. But anyway, we've soldered those on. They basically just slip in here. This screws out to slide the end in that you've soldered on. This will screw out, and this comes out of this insulator, but it just slips in there like that for number 4. But
Okay.
so anyway, this is a non metal. I don't know what it's made out of, but probably some
Tubing.
cancer-causing material. But anyway, it insulates the wire from the engine.
Yeah.
What I didn't highlight for you guys was the fuel lines. Nothing real rocket science here, but you can see right over there where it comes out of the main tank. We ran a fuel line across the tractor. These were original clips here, there, and here. And I just didn't have anything to go by. I just made it to the best way, put a 90 in up here to the top of the vac tank. This pulls air off of the top of the intake manifold to suck fuel up into this reservoir. We've talked about that before, but the supply line of the carburetor comes out the bottom, and I just picked a path. Don't know if it was the right, proper, and correct, but it's the path that I chose for it to go. Made this little hanger here, comes down to the back of the carburetor into that. So I didn't have a straight. I just put a 90 so I could offset the line to come in. So a little creative freedom there. So I didn't know what went there originally because they had a piece of wood stuck in there. I guess to keep debris out, whatnot. And so when I was checking the vac tank and looking, I was like, well, we've got to create vacuum somewhere. So I pulled that out, and sure enough, that was a threaded hole. So there it goes. And then I went back and looked at some old pictures, and sure, it confirmed what I was thinking. So one thing I did have to make was this adapter for the carburetor. We had this piece, and I'm not sure what went here. But anyway, I created that piece to mount the carburetor. So that makes a wrap for this work day, and I hope you enjoyed the process we made, and we'll continue to put out these update videos. They don't necessarily show us actually performing the task, but some of it's mundane, and lots of you have seen that before. But if there's something that we've done that you want to know more about, let us know, and we'll do a more in-depth video on that particular process. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.